What's up? Kumph-E here. In today's video, I'm going to go over the Buccaneers pick at pick 19 of Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State, and what is my opinions on it? Do I like it or do I not like it? I'll give my opinions, but I need to preface who Emeka Egbuka is for some people who, for some reason, don't know who it is. If you're watching the draft, I hope you watched a little bit of Ohio State. They were legitimately national champions. But Emeka Egbuka, a wide receiver out of Ohio State, had about, I think, 1,000 plus yards, 10 touchdowns, and was obviously part of the national championship Ohio State Buckeyes. Great season he had last year. Very talented, very talented receiver. And I am happy. I think most teams would be really happy to get a guy like Emeka Egbuka on their team at all. But here's where the controversy comes in with Tampa Bay being the one that picked him. Tampa Bay did not need a receiver. This is where you'll find most of the controversy and most of the confusion. Tampa Bay had one of the worst secondaries in the league last year and a very inconsistent pass rush, but they had one of the best offensive scoring-wise in the entire NFL. And when you ask most people, they will say even without Emeka Egbuka, they had one of the best wide receiver rooms in the entire NFL. I think with the addition of Emeka Egbuka is possibly the best in the league. Depends on how good Egbuka is. But the thing is, I understand Bucs fans who are confused. I don't see, but I don't understand why Bucs fans would be angry because I am very confident Emeka Egbuka will be a really good receiver in the league. But the thing is, I understand the confusion and the wonder. Why don't you get a cornerback? Why don't you get a safety? You need secondary help more than legitimately anything because the secondary of that team lost that team multiple games that they very well could have won, that the offense threw their heart out on, but they couldn't stop passing games. So both Falcons game, you have the Commanders game in the playoffs, you have the Chiefs game. Even without Mike Evans, that team was still in there, but they could not stop the passing game of a mediocre receiving core that the Chiefs had. There's in many more games that they lost because of that. So I understand the confusion of like, why not secondary? Why not cornerback? Why not safety? You need to bolster. You have some talent there. You have Zion McCollum. You obviously have an all-pro safety like Antoine Winfield Jr. Jamel Dean is inconsistent, but when he's good, he's decent. He's pretty good. But you don't want that guy to be your number one. You want to bolster that secondary because you can't just depend on guys who on some teams wouldn't even start in the secondary. So I understand the issue that people have with this pick, and I want to say this, and I feel like many people have said this. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are mainly Mike Evans is nearing the end of his career. This coming up season is the last season he possibly would be in the NFL. This is the last season on this 2-year contract he signed. First year after Baker Mayfield. For last season was his first on the 2-year contract he signed, and very well this next year can be his last year, possibly of his career. So it really comes down to how he plays next year. Now, if you want to have a plan of either if Mike Evans retires after this year or if Chris Godwin is not the same player like he was before his injury, I'm pretty confident Chris Godwin will not have a serious fall off because it wasn't like he snapped his ankle or like snapped a leg. Like it wasn't that bad. And there's talks of him if they be the Commanders of him possibly coming back in the game after. Very low chance, but there's a possibility. So the thing is, we need to talk about this factor of there's a reason why they signed Emeka Egbuka and Jason Lyon, Todd Bowles, and the rest of the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have made it very clear if they find a very high-level offensive prospect that they really want to pounce on, they will do it. And I understand. Now, I understand also the problem, again, of not drafting a corner. Obviously, you had one of the worst secondaries in the league. You draft a receiver to already an offense that last year was one of the best scoring offenses in the league. I think it was like second only behind, I'm pretty sure it was the Ravens at one point, and it might have been that way at the end of the season as well. Maybe the Eagles found their way up there, Lions. But anyway, Tampa was at least a top 5, at least top 10 scoring offense in the entire league, but their defense held them back from being even better than they were. They finished 10-7, and you can look at many games in that entire season where and defense lost them that game. Their offense went out there and should have and played good enough to win that game, but the defense just did not hold their side of the bargain, and they lost the Bucs game, multiple games that the Bucs should have won. You can point at injuries, but the fact is, even with those injured receivers, which I do agree, regardless of defense, if they were in the Chiefs game, or if Mike Evans played in the Chiefs game, or Chris Godwin played in more games after the injury in the Ravens game, the Buccaneers very well could have won some of those games even with the bad defensive play, but still, you look even before that or after that, even with Mike Evans, the defense lost the Buccaneers in multiple games because of their inability to stop offenses from just going downfield like nothing. The Buccaneers secondary last year was cut through by like butter, and nothing really improved. There's very rare times where they actually played well. The Lions game was like the only one that I can say the secondary really played well. But let's go on. Do I like this pick or not? I like this pick. I do. Would this have been the pick I made? No. I would have JD Barron, Mike Green. There's many dudes I would have rather have them picked than Emeka Egbuka, because Emeka Egbuka, after Chris Godwin's pick, a re-signing, a receiver was not even in my mind of them picking. I did not think there was a world Tampa Bay picked a receiver, but I do like this pick. I think Emeka Egbuka is a really, really good receiver in the draft. I think Tampa Bay will definitely utilize him well. Baker Mayfield will give Egbuka the ball a lot. The main person I feel bad for is Jalen McMillan, because he was finding himself late in the season last year, and he might not get as much time on the field as he should. But if there's any quarterback I would trust to give as many receivers as he possibly can the football, it is Baker Mayfield. So Emeka Egbuka, if I give it a grade of my own personal opinion, I'll give it a B-, because I understand the why Tampa Bay would pick it, but I also understand why fans of the Buccaneers and like myself does not like the pick. Obviously, I'm excited for next year. I'm excited for round 2 and 3. I think Tampa Bay is going to kill it in those rounds, because Jason Light, I find it hard not to trust them, because honestly, the Bucs have been really good at finding late round talent and honestly drafting overall. So I gotta just put it in their hands and trust them to hopefully bolster that secondary so they don't lose Tampa Bay as many games as they did last year. But anyway, that's about it. I'll be probably streaming tomorrow, either draft round 2 and 3 or Friday Night SmackDown. Either or really comes down to how I'm feeling at the point. But I will make a video tomorrow talking about rounds 2 and 3 picks of what Tampa Bay did, or if I like them or not. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.